Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by your other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, it's been a couple days. We've had time to take some antidepressants. We've had time to go to our meetings and get some therapy, and this hopefully is our additional therapy, as we have many times discussed. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. All I have to say is pour me, pour me, pour me another. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. The shock is over. The frustration's still there. You know, it's almost like the different stages, right? Dabida, right? Denial, anger, however the order goes. We're almost through it all. We're almost through it all.
Yep. For another week. Then we get to do it all again next week.
Not so fast, my friend. Too soon.
Gotta pull out some not so fast. We ain't got Corso here to do it anymore, so we gotta keep that legacy alive. So all right. So with that, let's get things started here. Of course, we'll be doing our week 3 analysis of LSU versus Florida. And as always, we'll break this down in our standard fashion, go through our intro here, our mission, our accuracy disclaimer, our vision, and our agenda. As always, our mission is to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our accuracy disclaimer is that our information will be accurate to the best of our possible ability. We will cite our sources whenever we use them, and all statistical data comes from either ESPN or stats.ncaa.org, and recruiting data comes from on3.com. And a quick side note here, for those that don't know, we do this because we see so much inaccurate information out there. I sent Randy an article earlier this evening that was just was littered with wrong information. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how much information was incorrect in this article. This is why we try so hard, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure we get stuff wrong, but we try very hard to get it right wherever we can and cite our sources accordingly for that reason. So that's the purpose of that. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while that we will express opinion. That opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss our observation of player personnel decisions, as well as on the field execution or lack thereof. Okay, so for our agenda, we will have, as always, for our game episodes, the Oh My section, discuss the exciting plays that we saw. Again, or lack thereof. We will then have the Chomp segment and review the offense. And then the Gator Bait section, we'll break down the defense. We will then have our visor throw segment, talk about our gripes from the game. We will then have a little recruiting discussion in the Hashling segment, talk about culture and pride of the sunshine. Then discuss the officiating and move back, you suck. And then we will wrap things up, discuss the state of the team and where we go from here, moving forward. Play a little game we like to play here called Keep It or Pitch It. And then we will discuss the results from the Sims. A little update on that tonight. We'll get there we'll talk about it when we get there. I guess I won't go into it now, but we do have an update in regards to that. And then we will wrap things up and sign off. So with that, let's get started in the exciting plays, if you have any, from Saturday night in the Oh My section. Get us started, Randy.
So, again, I will not cheat, folks. Truth be told. Oh, that's actually a phrase I have for another segment. But anyways, I've cheated in the past, and I told B over the summer I'd get better, and I'll stick to 3 for most exciting plays. So I'm sticking to 3, although I had to narrow it down from 5. And I know you're scratching your head going, 5? Really? But anyways, to that end, first Oh My play. Lagway back shoulder fade to Mizell for the touchdown. So, couple things here. 4 5-step drop, perfect positioning, perfect timing, placed right over the cornerback's head. That was Cooley. Great cornerback for LSU. Love the rhythm in this throw. Love the timing in this throw. The fact of the matter, Aiden did not have to reach up, back, left, right, turn into a stretch Armstrong. Put his arms up. It was there in the basket, and great. Oh, and by the way, there was a missed face mask on that play. Anyways, great pass, great catch. It looked effortless. Kind of like Lagway 24. Looked effortless, just saying. Okay, to that end.
Yep.
Play number 2, Dijon Johnson. So Dijon was all over the field on Saturday. Wish we had a few more of them. But at the end of the day, great interception on that play. So for those of you who remember, There was a flag on the play. The play was kind of broken up. Nussmeier's not sure what to do. Okay, I'll just throw it away. How about I throw it away straight into coverage with 2 blue jerseys and 1 white jersey? Oh, good idea. The thing that I love about this is the flag was blown, or the flag was thrown, right? And for all intents and purposes, they could have given up on the play. They could have Nussmeier could have grounded the ball, whatever. But no, kept playing. Dijon got greedy. He was a ball hawk. We need more ball hawks on this defense, and he did it, and he picked it, and he put us in a great position. So, Dijon, great job playing all the way to the whistle and not giving up on that play. So that's number 2. Number 3 for me, flashes. Number 3, Cormani McClain, a.k.a. Boulders for Shoulders, with a chase down tackle to prevent a touchdown. Okay, so on this run play, and by the way, I formation, they ran at power to the left, okay? So ran to the left. There was a flag on the play, and which was on us for 12 men on the field. I believe it was 12 men on the field, legal substitution, whatever you want to call it.
It was, yep.
But either way, he came from the opposite side of the field, beat out Johnson, beat out 3 other blue jerseys to chase down the running back. For me, I had flashes of DK Metcalf when he chased down the player from the Cardinals several years ago. Phenomenal play. That penalty was on us. So if he would have scored, that would have added to. I just love the fact that Cormani didn't go give up on the play, and not to mention he went and chased him down. The speed, absolutely phenomenal. So believe it or not, B, those are my 3 most exciting plays. What you got, my man?
So I love the Cormani call. Nice call out there. I probably should have had that one, in fairness, because what a great effort play on a run that would have meant points. So it would have meant something had he not made that tackle. It didn't end up meaning anything because they took knees right and into the game. But it only didn't mean anything because of Cormani chasing him down. So you know what? Great call. And I probably should have had it. And that's on me for not having it, but I only have 2. And I only have 2 because other than these 2, I really didn't have anything that wowed me in this game. You're right about Dijon. Good call on him not quitting. I don't have that one because to me that was kind of a lamed up play by Nuss on that one with just a terrible decision to make that throw. However, you're right about him, not giving up even though there was laundry on the field. Right, good call there. But you're right on Cormani. I should have had that one. It kind of slipped my mind, honestly, being the basically last meaningful play of the game. And it should have been on my list. So kudos to you for thinking of that one and having it in there. My 2 are the same as yours for the first one, the Lagway touchdown to Mizell. Absolutely great route and a beautiful ball by Lagway, as you pointed out. Despite a very tough outing, obviously, by DJ, still had some great throws in this game. I'll talk more about that later. And this was one of the best ones. He showed accuracy and touch, both, right, to be able to put this ball in the corner of the end zone where only his receiver could get it, right? Nobody else was touching that ball. Either Mizell catches that or it's going incomplete, right? There is no pick on that ball, period, right? And it also had, as you pointed out, very nice timing to be able to get it in there and land it right as he was, in stride, going to catch it and make that play for the touchdown. So really, really nice ball, to your point, the Lagway that we are more accustomed to seeing, right? So very, very nice there. My second one is Miles Graham shooting the gap on 3rd and short late in the 4th quarter. It's about 5 minutes and change left to make a phenomenal tackle for loss on the LSU running back and force a punt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this gave Florida the ball back, still having an opportunity to come back in this game. Right? Obviously we didn't, but what an amazing defensive stand despite all the turnovers that had already happened to this point, right? To still have the outstanding effort and play recognition from Miles. This kid, he was just phenomenal in this game. He really was. He was everywhere. He only had 5 tackles, not that that's a low number, but 5 tackles and though 4 solo, I believe, going from memory there. I'd have to check my stat there, but I know 5 tackles and I believe 4 solo and just outstanding play all night. It continues to just be a phenomenal linebacker and a true sophomore. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It just lights out, man. This kid is going to be so good. Outstanding effort, play, and recognition, as I said. Just really, really good. And he did this once earlier in the game too, right? So he didn't get a tackle for loss there, and he actually didn't even really maybe even get the tackle, but he shot the gap the same way, got into the backfield, diverted the play, and then George Gums and Devin Moore cleaned it up for no gain, and also forced a punt. It was actually in the first drive. So just phenomenal stuff by Graham. So really got to call that out. So maybe that's my third, is the other time that he did it. There you go.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we will wrap things up on the my obviously not the best night for exciting plays when you only score 10 points. Though the defense did definitely have some, because outstanding defensive effort, as we mentioned. So with that, let's get into Chomp here. Let's talk some offense. So as always, we'll break down here quarterback rating and yards per carry first. Lagway quarterback rating, we use the NFL rating, as we mentioned before, 49.83. Woof. Woof. In this system, anything over 100 is good. I would argue anything over 80 is decent. 49.83 is bad. Period. No two ways about it, right? One touchdown, 5 picks, very bad numbers.
Very bad.
No other way to slice it. It's not a good night, and we'll get into this in a minute. As for yards per carry, 2.93 yards per carry, also not good. Sub 3 yards per carry, very not good. However, I have to point out once again that your boy Wrecking Ball, as you've coined the term, had a 4.6 yards per carry average, but only carried the ball 10 times. Why? Why did he only carry the ball 10 times? I know he caught a bunch of passes. That is good. That is good that he caught a bunch of passes, but 10 carries for Jaden Ball in this game? Why? Why? Doesn't make any sense. Again, something we'll talk to in a minute here. So, obviously continued struggles on offense. That probably would be the understatement, possibly, of the year. Got to talk about Lagway, obviously. He made some very good throws, right? We already talked about the throw to Mizell. It was excellent. There's another throw midway in the game. I don't remember if it was second quarter or third. He avoids the rush, sidesteps, moves up in the pocket, running forward, and then hits, I believe it was Sturdivant, in a soft spot in the zone. Yes. Vintage DJ. Vintage DJ. One of the best throws I've seen him make yet this year in terms of his reading and understanding of the situation in the game, right? It wasn't a hard throw, but getting to the throw and then making it, right, in a game situation, live pressure coming at him, avoiding the rush, stepping around, moving up, and then making that throw in time, on target. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's the DJ that we know and love, right? That's what we need to see more of, obviously. As I mentioned on Saturday, I'm not putting all the blame for the 5 interceptions on DJ. This offense is very predictable, as you know if you've listened to one episode of this pod, much less multiple, right? It is very easy to scheme for if you were an opposing defensive coordinator and you do even a little bit of homework, right? And then teach your team what to do. Furthermore, if you used to be a coach on this team of the defensive backs, what were you aiming? You probably have pretty good insight as to what a lot of these routes look like and how to coach your guys to play against them. So that probably didn't help. Now, having said that, you can't subvert all blame from DJ. And I will tell you that 2 of the picks he threw, picks number 2 and 3, actually could have avoided being picked, throwing the ball to the receiver that he threw it to, if the ball comes out earlier. He was late, folks. He was late. I went back, I watched the film. Both of those balls would not have been INTs if the ball is out a half second earlier than it was. He was late on both of those passes. Now, were both of those passes the best passes to make? Were there other options? Yes to both. Or, excuse me, no to the first, yes to the second. There were better options. Yes, they would have been completed, as I said, if they were out earlier. So I know hindsight's 20/20, but the point I'm trying to make is those were not mistakes DJ was making last year. Last year, DJ was not seeing people, right? This was your footwork's not right, your timing's off. This is a quarterback who didn't practice all offseason. Straight up. That's what you're seeing there. Now, picks 1 and 4, inaccurate throws, period. Trying to force the ball into coverage and didn't make the best throw. Both of those potentially could have been completed also, but the throw wasn't accurate. So that's another ball game also. Pick 5, he was trying to throw the ball away, just so we're clear. The last thing I want to discuss here is, why did we pass so much? This is just confusing. I don't have answers here. I don't have any answers, to be honest with you. This goes directly in the face of Napier's traditional model and what he wants to do, and frankly, his plan, right? He's a run-first guy. He wants to use the run to set up the play-action pass to take vertical shots. We talked about this in the offseason. That is the model for his offense. And what is so ironic about this is he doesn't want to change anything. Why in God's name did he change this? Why is this the thing that you change? Why do you get away from the run game? We were 75-25 effectively run to pass in this game. Are you kidding me? That is not a Napier offense. It's just not. That is not something that he does traditionally. So I have no clue. Now, I know we were playing from behind late, but there was plenty of time. It was a 2-score game, and it was a touchdown field goal 2-score game for much of the game, even when we were behind. And there were other times when we were ahead where he traditionally just tries to run the clock out, running the ball, right? Like, or ahead or tied or whatever. Like, why are you not running the ball more, particularly with Jaden? Like, I just, it makes me want to rip my hair out. I don't understand. Dude's averaging 4.6 yards a clip in this game, averaging over 5 yards on the season. What are we doing? Makes no sense. And I have no answers. So these are the questions that I continue to ask. I continue to not get answers. I continue to see just gaffes on the tape in terms of decision making, and it's why we continue to be in the place we are with Billy. You know, regardless of what we talk about in terms of his culture, regardless of what we talk about in terms of him as a person, these kind of decisions on game day just do not allow for him to continue to be the coach, period. It's just what it comes down to. So that's my breakdown on offense. What do you got?
I think you summed it up well, my man. I really did. Yeah, so I've got a lot of similar points, but I'll just start off this way. It seems like DJ's been around for a while, right? Enrolled early, went through the system. He played in several games last year, right? And but this was his first true SEC road start. It's kind of hard to believe that, right?
Well, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. That's a great point.
Yeah, hard to believe it. And that's the other thing too. I wonder, was it the pressure? Because I tried to answer that question myself. Was it the pressure? Was it the result of the last game? Was it that got Napier off script? I don't know. I really don't know. But anyways, yes, I found myself asking that question as well. So Lagway, 33 of 49. Oh, and by the way, to mention that in an article that B mentioned earlier that he sent me, I want to say they said Lagway passed for 29 times, 29 or 39. Either way, it was very wrong. Very wrong. So Lagway, 33 of 49, 67.3%, 287 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 INTs. And yes, the quarterback rating is what it is. When you have that much of a lopsided of touchdowns to INTs, does not help the metrics. Okay. So it's one thing to share the record books with another Gator great, as in Shane Matthews. It's just not good to share it in this way with Shane, in the sense that he threw 5 INTs in 1992 against Mississippi State. And clearly, Mississippi State brought a lot of cowbell to that game because Shane couldn't get the ringing out of his ears for weeks. That was what it was. 4 of Lagway's interceptions on third down. 4 of them. 5th one came on that first down, but as B mentioned, throwing the ball away. For once, he did not get enough air under the ball to throw it far away. If you take the 4th INT in the end zone and you put air under it on that 5th INT is not an INT. And that 4th one, maybe you give Trey a chance, maybe. But again, you had 3 white jerseys around 1 blue. Pretty tough to do so. Great call out, B. Pass to run ratio. Never thought we'd have to talk about this in this type of way.
No.
76 plays. 49 passing plays, 27 run plays. Huh? Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Yep. All right. Jaden, and here's what's fascinating. Jaden Baugh, 10 attempts, right? 46 yards, average 4.6, a long of 13. He was also almost your leading wide receiver, not just rusher. Okay. VB3, yep. Leading receiver, 8 receptions, 62 yards. A 16 was his long. But look at Jaden, 7 receptions, 59 yards, and a long of 25.
Should have been a long 87.
Again, should have been. But your stud running back could have been your leading rusher and receiver. Huh? Okay, whatever. First down, 23 first downs. More than doubled LSU in first downs. Okay. Beat Nussmeier in passing, which allegedly for the start of the season, Nussmeier was supposed to throw for like 4,600 yards this year. Okay. More yards of offense, 366 to 316, 76 plays to 52 plays. Okay. Time of possession blew my mind. 37 minutes, 46 seconds to only 22-14 LSU.
Yep.
We had the ball.
That was our key to the game from the Sims.
Right? Biggest discrepancy. So first quarter, we had at 8:24. They had at 6 and change. We had at 8 and change. They had at 6 and change. The fourth quarter, we were 9 and change. They were 5 and change. But in the third quarter, we possessed the ball 11 minutes and 49 seconds to their 3:11. What?
Well, pick 6 actually helps that in fairness, but still.
Sure. To control that much of the game, but yet not have the points to show is just absolutely unequivocally frustrating.
Yeah. Okay?
And to the point that we have a wrecking ball to not utilize him as such. Okay, you get him out of the backfield, you get him in motion, you get him in the passing game, that's fine. But this kid, you need him lowering his shoulder and dropping white jerseys on their butts, period. And that's the thing. If you felt like coming out of this game, we're moving the ball. Okay, we get a 3 and out. We get a pump. We get the ball, but we're moving. Okay, field goal. But again, first to score. That says something. That does something. But then
agreed.
With a lot of those gimmick plays and with a lot of the crossing plays, I swear it was as if couldn't get any momentum. And B, I know exactly what you're talking about because it was the third quarter because I had it written here. It was the third quarter. It was a delayed handoff, fake to Baugh, Sturdivant across the middle for a first down with 2 other white jerseys off of him. Great pass, great catch. We had more of those things open, right? Because he stepped back 4 or 5 drop, stepped up 1 or 2, made a great throw. The other one that was really good, that pass to Mizell on the right side, very small window. There are 4 white jerseys around Mizell, okay? And again, great step, 6-step drop, stepped up 4 steps in the pocket, looked off left, came back to Mizell to the right, and put it right over his shoulder, right around 4 white jerseys. Great window. It was beautiful. So it's weird, but again, bipolar. It's just amazing when you see some of those throws. You go, oh yeah, the kid's there. He's got it. Good, no problem. You see the other ones, you just scratch your head and pull your hair out. So overall, some good concepts. Better. I'm not going to say good, B. Better play calling. The sequence in this game compared to USF. But I tell you what, just too many turnovers. Shot yourself in the foot. Too many. That's it.
Yep.
And that's all I got, my man.
All right, fair enough. Well, no, I think that's a good rundown as well. Obviously, it kind of sums it up, right? A lot of frustration, very tough to watch, especially when you see the defense play as well as they did. So let's focus on something positive. Let's talk about the defense now. Get us started.
Let's talk about the defense, folks. Held LSU scoreless in the first quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. That's pretty good.
Right? Because when you look at it, I guess time was winding down in the first. That field goal, I'm not sure if they recorded it, second quarter, whatever the case might be. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, especially come out at halftime, LSU scored 7 in the third, but that was on a pick 6. Defense had nothing to do with that, okay? Okay, so Nussmeier, right, Mr. I'm going to throw for 4,500 yards this year. Number 2 quarterback in the SEC. Again, preseason. 79.24 QB rating. Yeah.
Not great. Not great
at all. Not for him. Now, if you folks remember, the week prior, Baron Brown, FSU, 95 and change. Okay. But Nussmeier, with all the experience, right? He's a 5th-year senior, whatever he is, right? He got checked. He got checked pretty good. He had a lot of pressure. 4.64 yards per carry. Again, manageable. This defense held LSU to 10 total first downs. That's it.
Yep.
10 first downs, under 100 rushing yards. Okay, 96 rushing, 220 passing, 316 total, and only had them on the field 22 minutes and 14 seconds. Okay, 4 of 14 on third down, effectively 28.6% third down conversion by LSU. What?
Yep.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Really good. Okay? Really good.
The first three possessions by LSU, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say that. Go ahead.
You were. Okay, the first 3 possessions by LSU. Let me break it down for you, folks. 3 plays, 6 yards. The second possession. 3 plays, 9 yards. The third possession. 3 plays, 1 yard, all resulting in punts.
My favorite dance step: 1, 2, 3, kick. 1, 2, 3, kick. 1, 2, 3.
Bingo. That is correct, sir. That is correct. Phenomenal. And then again, like we said, the shutout in the second half that was pitched, just absolutely great job by the defense. The explosives that were given up. Let me just make a quick comment on explosives. 23, 31, and 65 yards. Okay. The main one I'm going to call out, however, is their tight end on that 65-yard explosive. And B, I'm not sure where you stand on this, but I think you're going to fire off the same sentiment. I did not like the fact that Jaden Robinson was stretched across the middle of the field looking for help with his arms out.
Yep.
Did not like that at all. As a matter of fact, we saw a couple of linebackers in the same or similar position, out in coverage, out in the middle of the field, out to the hash marks, twisting, bending, slanting, turning, trying to keep up with a wide receiver or a running back.
So I can deal with a linebacker doing it. My objection is going to be talking about the defensive ends doing it or defensive tackles doing it.
Okay. More specifically, correct. 100%. So, and that's probably more of a scheme thing, as we had mentioned previously.
Oh, it definitely is. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But outside of that, you can't, folks, this defense, especially with what LSU is capable of now, mind you, they probably don't have the best offensive game. Okay. As B and I mentioned previously, this game in the swamp, at Death Valley at night, they very seldom do they lose at Death Valley at night. And this defense came in, and again, with specific plays made by Gums, Denson, Graham. Really good to see Aaron Childs on the ball, Bryce Thornton on the ball, Cormani McClain, Aaron Gates, Dejon Johnson. These guys, they are looking for the ball. They are actively engaged, actively involved. I would have liked to have seen Tyreek Sapp get a little bit more into the backfield, right? Do a little bit more things. But again, the pressures were there. The opportunities were there. And that's why Nussmeier had a difficult time with completions. That's why his QB rating is what it is, right? Look at this. He went 15 for 27, 220 yards. Yeah, okay. And the one long play, the extremely long explosive, again, busted coverage was what it was. This defense is doing some phenomenal things to carry on the momentum from last year. Again, if the only thing we can say about the defense is some of the questionable scheming with regards to positioning and the defensive end, the tackles going out in coverage. That's tough to see that.
Yep. Agreed.
Outside of that, I can't say enough about what they did because, again, this whole idea of complementary football is backfiring because guess what? The defense is doing the best they can with what they have. And again, Shame to see Caleb go out again with that re-aggravating that foot injury.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
upsetting.
that's tough. That's tough, and
Ex-
he's going to be down for a while too, apparently. So that's not good
right.
news. Not
Extremely
good
upsetting.
news.
And not to mention, I wanted this defense to show out. I know we didn't have a great chance to win the game. I wanted this defense to show out, to basically stick it in Pyburn's face. Right?
Yeah, and I think they really did. You know, he made this comment after the game about how like the culture's better at LSU basically and how he feels welcome here and didn't at Florida. That's a bunch of
Yeah.
hokey. I don't buy
Yeah.
that for a minute. I don't
Right.
believe that at all. I'm sorry. I just do not. And how this was a great decision. Okay, you had 5 total tackles, 1 solo, and
Yes.
half a tackle for loss. Last I checked, you were putting up better stats at Florida, buddy. So, okay, let's go back and look at your stats from the LSU game because I think they were better last year against LSU than they were against Florida. But all right, whatever you want to say, bruh. So he just talked a bunch of trash after the game and didn't have the numbers to back it up. I'd have to go back and review the stats of his from last year's game, but I'm pretty sure they were better than that. So maybe not the 5 total tackles, but again, only 1 was solo. So 4 assisted tackles, whoopity-doo-dah.
Exactly. I mean, Keys had more tackles. Wes Weeks had more tackles. Tamarcus Cooley had more. Harold Perkins, because Harold Perkins is Harold Perkins.
Harold Perkins should have more tackles. Yeah.
Exactly. Mansour Delane, Halsey, Woodland. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jack Pyburn was number 9.
Yeah.
In their roster as far as number of tackles. Anyways, I'll put that to rest. I can't say enough about this defense. They hung in after interception, and missed opportunities. Yep. They did not quit in this one, B, as you like to say. Love seeing that from them. Cannot say much more to the effort. Again, 3 explosives. I'll deal with it. Holding this offense, even though it wasn't clicking on all 8 cylinders, still holding them to 20 in Death Valley. Well, 13 in Death Valley. Phenomenal. Yep. That's all I got.
That's right. 13 is right. And I think they did have 4. You didn't mention the last run of 51. I don't think in your tally. Maybe you did and I missed it. But
I did. I did mention it. Yeah. Or I missed it. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I do think it was 4. However, that didn't really matter. And to that point, because it didn't really matter, because they didn't score and then they took knees, you mentioned the yards per carry at 4.64. If you take that big run out, right, because it was a garbage time, meaningless run, right, because Cormani stopped it, it was a garbage time, meaningless run, their yards per carry drops to 2.43 at home in Death Valley at night, less than 2.5 yards per carry. That's how good this defense was. They were on point. Shut that run game down. And then, as you mentioned, only allowed 220 yards passing. We would have been under 300 yards of total offense allowed if they didn't give up that big run at the end of the game. And again, there was a weird thing. We had a substitution deal going on that we got the penalty for. Clearly, we were not, ready for that play, which that's on us for sure. It's more on the coaching staff and the players, but that's on us. And I'm sure that's contributed to why that happened and everything else. So, but ultimately, you take that run away and it's 2.43 yards per carry. And again, under 300 yards of total offense. I mean, that's remarkable. Again, outstanding night, 13 points allowed because obviously the pick 6 wasn't on the defense. Great work by the D line in getting off blocks to stop the run all night. George Gums, my bro, just shedding blocks all night and getting in the backfield and causing havoc, particularly in the run game. And a great job at least pressuring us. I know we didn't get sacks. We had 6 hurries as per GatorCountry.com. They put out an article saying we had 6 hurries. I know we didn't get the sacks, but the thing is, we got the sacks last year against this team, and I'm telling you, Sloan was ready for that. If you watch this film back, Nuss is getting the ball out of his hand quick. They had play calls on designed for this. They ran a bunch of slants. They ran a bunch of outs. They ran a bunch of screens to the outside, right? They were not having him hold the ball. They knew we were coming. Because last year when he did hold the ball, what happened? He got sacked over and over and over again. They weren't making that mistake again this year. They weren't letting that happen to him because sacks are bad news, right? And they know this D-line can bring it. And we were getting there. We just didn't get there quick enough because of what they were calling. It wasn't a lack of pressure. It was a lack of pressure fast enough to get him down before he got the ball out in probably under 3 seconds. I don't have the time on how quick his average throw was, but it was quick. He was getting the ball out fast because of what they called. So, linebacker play, as already mentioned, outstanding all across the board. Again, you mentioned the Jaden Robinson thing. I think Jaden was expecting help from the safety and Castell there. I think Castell blew an assignment there. I think he was supposed to pick up the help if it went past a certain yardage marker. I don't think he did his job. I think that's on Castell. We can't know, right? We can only watch the film and assume, but based on Jaden's reaction, I think Jaden was expecting help over the top if it went past a certain yardage. He didn't get it, thus the huge gain from the tight end there.
Fair point.
I think that was a miscommunication or missed assignment there by Castell. I think it's on him, unfortunately, on that particular play. Tackling goes way back up, right? This looked much more like game one, where we tackled so well. I didn't see but maybe a missed tackle or two in the entire game. Outstanding tackling. Really nice job. Very few missed tackles. Much better than what we saw against South Florida. Not sure what happened last week and what caused that, but man, great improvement there. Clearly a good job by the coaching staff this week in getting the tackling better. Really nice. Great to see. Only complaint, as I mentioned a little there, and Randy kind of brought up, and I mentioned in the First Bites reaction, some of the coverage concepts. I didn't catch this live when I went back and watched the film. I mentioned Jamari Lyons going out in coverage. It was actually Jamari Lyons and Caleb Banks that were actually out in coverage on the play where we gave up the big gain on the slant over the middle. You can't be doing that stuff. You can't be putting nose tackles and interior defensive linemen cannot be going out in coverage on stunts. You can't do it. You cannot do that. It's bad enough to do it with edge rushers, right? But at least those guys are athletic enough that they could get out there and flash a presence. You can't do that with nose tackles. What are we doing, Ron? Like, come on, man. I understand that your defense does this stuff with schemes and simulated pressures. I get what you're doing. I get the concept, but you cannot do that with interior defensive linemen. You just can't do it, period. Stop doing it. I don't want to see it again. Don't want to see that on film again. I haven't seen it previously, in fairness, but I do not want to see that again. That is not okay. Get it off my tape. Big issue there. I also did not like how we were playing 12 to 13 yards off the ball with our nickel corner in certain situations. They capitalized on that multiple times when they had it, running quick slants with their slot wide receivers. I am fine if you want to stack those corners, play one tight and play the other off, but you don't need to be playing them 12, 13 yards off the ball. Let's get him 7 yards off the ball, right? Let's make it to where he can actually break on that route and not be completely, in no man's land if they end up running that quick slant over the inside. Let's at least have him be able to make a play and make a tackle, right? Okay, maybe you can't stop the quick slant, but let's at least have you in position where you can make a tackle so it doesn't go for 20 on a quick slant. We had 2 quick slants in this game go for almost 20 yards. That should never happen. And it was purely because our nickel corner was playing so far off the ball. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Good point there.
Let's get that off the tape too. So, couple things, and again, that's purely scheme. That's nothing to do with the player misplaying anything, right? That's how they were told to line up. That's a misstep. That's a miscue. That's got to change, and it's definitely got to change against Miami, because Miami runs a lot of quick game. They run a lot of quick passing stuff, right? We can't be doing that kind of stuff and putting that stuff on tape. They will eat us alive. They will eat us alive, mark my words, if we put that kind of stuff out there. So that has got to stop. We cannot be doing that stuff this week. Overall, defense looks to be the real deal. They really do. This was the first real test, right? Really true, high-level team as far as talent goes. I know their offense maybe isn't executing at the highest level, but they had the Jimmies, right? And the Joes out there. They got talent on that field. This was the test for them, and man, they rose to the occasion. I would say they have an even bigger test than Miami, because clearly that's a better offense, right? May not be a better defense, but it's a better offense than what we saw this week. They are going to have to continue to step up, but I am excited to see them rise to the challenge for sure. So with that, we'll wrap up defense. Let's get on to visor throw here. I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet, believe it or not. I'm not going to belabor a bunch of points that we belabored before. So let's get into it. You allow 13 points defensively. you give up 10 first downs in the game and under 300 yards, as I already mentioned before that last big run, but you throw 5 INTs and give the game away. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for you. I have to have a complaint there because this offense gave this game away, and it continues to give games away. Frankly, it gave the game away against USF, right? We talked about that. You give up 18 points at home and you can't win. These are things that just can't happen. Once again, Billy Napier as a play caller does not work in the SEC. Period. I'm gonna leave that one right there. As I already mentioned, our boy Wrecking Ball, 4.6 yards per carry, and ends up with over 100 total yards in offense, including the receiving numbers in this game. How do you only give him 10 carries? How? How is that possible? How does he not even get 15 carries? He had 18 against USF. That wasn't enough, but he only got 18. He got 18 there. We got him 10? 10. That's an absolute joke. Once again, who's responsible? Billy Napier. Last but not least, passing concepts continue to be the same. You mentioned better play calling. I will give you that the flow of the game in terms of what was called when it was called, not pass run ratio, obviously, but what was called when it was called, I will agree was a little bit better. But there's no variance. There's no creativity that we hope to see in the beginning of the season with Callaway and Spurrier, right? If you had any hope that they were holding on to this for SEC play, you can take those hopes, you can crumble them up in a little ball, and you can Kobe that thing right into the trash can. It's over, folks. There is none of that that's going to be seen. Clearly, that 4 or 5 wide receiver thing we mentioned, that, you know, hey, maybe we could see a little bit this, maybe, right? Russ hinted at it a little in the offseason. Maybe we could see. Nah, bruh. That ain't happening. That's out the window. We will not see any of it ever, period, as long as Napier is calling these plays. Ever. I'm not shocked, nor should I be, nor should any of you be, right? We had the data. We had all the information for 3 years telling us that we wouldn't. So I'm not shocked, but man, am I disappointed. And I'm going to leave it right there. What's your 5's throw?
Nice. Agree with all your points. Well said. Last week, I mentioned a couple of quotes that did not age well for Billy. Spot the ball, right?
Yeah.
Scared money don't make money. I got 2 more for you this week. Complimentary football.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Who are we complimenting? What are we complimenting? What are we complimentary of? Right? What? And the second one, truth be told. Billy, when you say things like truth be told, and again, this is nothing against you as a person, nothing against you as a person, as a man, truth be told, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
Yep.
Look at what's working. Look at what has worked well. Again, anybody who knows ball can say, you know what? He's built the program the right way. You know what? There's systems in place. You know what? There's a staff. You know what? There's a process. You know what? There's this. There's a flow chart. There's organization to it. Great. But when you get inside that rectangular painted field, it does not look the same. Eat some humble pie. Relinquish the duties. Some people, and B and I have talked about this offline, some people make really good CEOs, but not good department managers. To me, this almost feels like, some of you might disagree, a lot might disagree, this feels like Muschamp in many ways, minus the record. Feels like Mush. For the record, Will Muschamp, great D coordinator, great special teams coach, not fit to be a head coach. Okay, I'll leave that alone. Second, this game was not won by LSU. It was not won. It was lost by the Gators. But more specifically,
it's well said.
Right? It was lost specifically by throws that should not have been thrown. LSU did not win this game, folks. I know they're 3-0. They did not win this game. I'll just leave it at that. Wrecking ball. Hashtag wrecking ball. Only 10 carries. Great call out, B. I'm with you. Leave that alone. Hashtag control the clock. If someone tells me that you controlled the clock for 37 minutes and 46 seconds and allowed 13 points, I'm going, hey, how much did you win by?
Yeah,
Not you lost?
For real.
What? And then the first down discrepancy, 10 first downs to 23 first downs. Oh my goodness gracious. Another fantastic metric. Hey, congrats on the win. Except, no, we have to redact that from the statement because of too many unforced errors. That's that. Rant over.
That's well said. It's well said. How about we change spot the ball to spot the ball? How about that?
Oh, B, you got me. Yep. You got me. There you go. Kudos, my friend. Plus 10 points for you.
Hey, if we had plus 10 points, we'd be in overtime. There you go. All right, moving right along.
He's here all night, folks.
I'm on a roll. All right, let's go to Ashlings. Let's talk some recruiting. What kind of updates you got there?
Man, I checked On 3, checked 24/7, but obviously we mainly go to On 3. No real changes. Gators are currently 13th in the nation, 7th in the SEC. 53% of that coming in state, 74% blue chip. We still don't have that perennial 5-star yet, and still 19 commits on the board.
Yep, same for me. No commits or decommits so far, despite another difficult showing. Obviously, I will say I read an article. A couple of prospects / commits were interviewed and said they still believe the team can bounce back. I don't know about turn the season around, but that they can bounce back from the tough start, and they're not shaken in their commitment by the team's recent performance. Carson Baker was one that was called out specifically, 4-star running back on one of these. We'll see if that sticks. It's early still. It's getting to be less early, but it's still early. So we'll see what happens and how things progress. We'll all see what happens if Billy's still the coach or not. So that could change some of that stuff too. You tend to lose recruits when you lose a head coach. So and it is what it is, as I mentioned before. No matter what happens with that, the long game picture is better in the long run here to do that at this point. As you mentioned, his stubbornness and his inability to relinquish the play calling, particularly, is a fatal flaw, and it's just not going to work. So, moving along, Pride of Sunshine. Let's talk culture. Despite Jack Pyburn's comments, effort was absolutely there. Billy talked about it in press conference today. I agree with him. For what that's worth. The effort was absolutely there in this game from start to finish on both sides of the ball. Team continues to show no quit despite the circumstances surrounding them, and it's great to see. We talked about this a ton last year. I'm going to start talking about it again because it is nothing short of amazing that you get all this noise, that you get all this feedback, that you get all this negative press, right? Everything is negative about this team, right? The coach, the performance, the output, how many articles did you see about how great the defense was on Saturday versus how many articles did you see about how bad the offense was and how the team underperformed and I saw maybe one article that talked about how good the defense was.
Right.
And
Great point.
25 about how bad everything was, right? So the negative press just swarms, right? Because everybody wants to talk about the bad stuff, right? That's the nature of the press, right? If it bleeds, it leads, right? That's the way it is. And that's what they're going to focus on. So all this negative press and this noise of a negative nature and this just stuff that's so hard to block out and not hear. And you know what? It doesn't affect this team. It didn't last year. It's not affecting them so far this year. We'll see if that continues. But no matter what you've heard about culture issues on this team, no matter what you hear about Napier and he's not the greatest guy for culture and all this stuff, which I've started to hear some of those things come out. You can say that till you're blue in the face. But as long as I see this team compete from the first whistle to the last whistle, which I absolutely saw on Saturday, you're not going to convince me of that. I'm sorry, you're not. This is a great group with great culture, And that's just final as far as I'm concerned, because teams that don't have that don't play like that team did on Saturday when you're looking 1-2 straight in the face, and when you were 4-5 last year, and so on and so forth, right? We've seen time after time after time where this team does not quit despite everything that's swirling around them. So until they do, you won't hear me talk differently, period. I just won't do it. I won't do it. There's not empirical evidence to back it up. People can talk all they want. Show me the proof on the field. That's what I rely on. I'll leave it at that. What you got for Pride of Sunshine?
Love it. Well said. Well said. I actually put it, very, very similar lines, but I put it this way: blocking out the noise is their superpower.
Yeah.
They do have, they absolutely have hater blockers on, because I tell
Hater blockers.
And we kind of talked about this last year with most programs, as high profile as the Gators are, but with most programs, you would have an utter collapse of the locker room. Yeah. And as you know, in the coaching spheres, with the pressure and everything else that comes with it, once you lose the locker room, it's just over. Yeah. It's absolutely over. So again, folks, Billy Napier builds relationships. Billy Napier is about culture. Billy Napier is about communication. Billy Napier is about face-to-face, belly-to-belly, toe-to-toe interactions with families and young men. And he's about making them better. And he's about preparing them for the game on the field and the game of life. I would argue more the game of life. Outside of that.
Facts.
Right?
Well said. Well said.
so I look at those things and go, again, Ben and I, the main message here is this offense, when you have first world problems at running back and wide receiver, why are they being stifled? You let them breathe. Let them breathe. Let them be. Let them go eat. Period. Okay?
Yep.
And I'll bring up a quote by Mr. Napier at the podium. When the student struggles on the test, as a teacher, you got to take a good look in the mirror.
Yep. That was probably his best quote of that whole press conference, for the record. Well, probably, that and I do agree with him in terms of some of the good things that you saw on the tape.
Sure. Some
defensively, I'll agree with that. I don't know about offensively, but defensively, I'll agree with that.
Well, I think he's going to give himself a little pat on the back because of how we moved the ball and how we controlled the ball and our
that's the problem. Right? That's the problem, though, is that
it is right.
Yep.
And again, the effort out of the entire team didn't quit. Agreed. But I'll tell you what, man, nothing embodies hustle like what Cormani McClain did. With that minute and change left to go. So phenomenal there. And then, of course, LSU, the last thing I have here is LSU has defeated UF 6 out of the past 7 years. Obviously, last year, flipped the script. But again, I rest on the fact that LSU did not beat UF in this game. UF beat itself. And I'll leave it there.
I agree. And I think it's really important to call out here. It sounds like we're being pro-Napier here. We are pro Napier when it comes to culture. I think we can say that. Like we do not have, despite the comments from Jacob Copeland and Jonathan Odom last week. We are still pro Napier when it comes to culture. You have got to show me evidence on the field. And I know somebody said, well, not a lot of Gators showed up for the alma mater after the game. Whatever. Show me what happens between the lines, right? From whistle to whistle, and how the team plays. That's what reflects culture. Right? And this team has showed me week in and week out for years, quite frankly, that despite their record, despite what the media is saying, despite what the fan base is saying, despite the boos in the stands, that they show up and they play their hearts out for this guy. And this team, right? It's not just the coach, the team itself, each other, right? The brotherhood, they show up, and that is a culture that matters and that is built for winning. So again, as we've said many times on this pod, if you haven't listened before, he gets that part right in spades. He just needs to understand that there are better ways to call an offense and better people to call an offense and better positions, i.e. an offensive coordinator and not the head coach, to call an offense. And as I mentioned already, as I already said, that is the fatal flaw. And it's why he should no longer be the coach. We are not for him continuing to be the coach. Randy mentioned that last week, that we are on the same page on that now. This does not make up for that. But we also are, two things can be true, right? We are not saying that one precludes the other. So we are not making a case for him to continue to coach here because of that. We are simply stating a fact, and that's it. So with that, let's move on. Talk officiating. Little move back. You suck. I'm going to call this game averagely officiated. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was great. Definitely some things that were missed. Definitely one call that was questionable that I'm going to call out. I think most calls that they made were correct. However, the elephant in the room is the holding on Najee Harris that brought back the touchdown. To me, looked questionable. I got to see a different angle this evening, actually. I sent it to Randy before the pod. Definitely looked to me to be something that I don't know if that really qualifies in what I would consider the definition of holding, but I will defer to Randy on that because he is the expert. Again, for those that don't know, he is a high school official, so he has a lot more training on that than I would, formally speaking. So that's something I will get his opinion on. To me, it was very questionable. Not sure it really qualifies, but again, we'll see what he thinks. The calls that were missed, to me, the ones that I will call out, were two in particular. So Lagway was, I don't know if he actually got taken down. I believe he did on one of the sacks. Clear contact to the head / face mask that to me should have either been a roughing the passer for contact to the head area or a face mask call, and it was not. There was nothing flagged at all. And then subsequently, a couple plays later, actually, it was very, very close to there. Jacoby was brought down by the back of his jersey. Now, it wasn't hooked inside the pad, but I don't think that matters anymore because it was the back of the jersey and he was ripped down by the back of his jersey to the ground, which from what I know, qualifies as horse collar. I didn't think you actually had to go inside the pads anymore. I thought they changed that rule, and that should have been a horse collar tackle. So those are the ones that I thought should have been flagged clearly that were not. And then, of course, there's the Najee call. So I'd love to get your take on that, as well as anything else you thought about the game from an officiating standpoint. Those are my call outs. What you got?
Nice, not bad. So here's what's tough about officiating, besides the fact that there's a lot of human error involved and bang and all those things. The rules for the FHSAA, Florida High School Athletic Association, and the MFHS, the national, right? When you look at that, the rules are so different from Friday night compared to Saturday and compared to Sunday. So a lot of times those things are misconstrued. However, I will say this. When you look at the hold on Najee to negate that ball touchdown, DJ was already ranging to his left, probably 7, 8, maybe 9 yards away from the center, from the line of scrimmage, from where that tackle took place. And if you look at Najee, where he was, there was another tackle that took place to the right of him, right? I believe was that Damien who took down another LSU D lineman?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But literally, it was to the right of him. Either way, the way that it was done, did it affect the play? Like, for example, if that lineman would have gotten free, would he have gotten to DJ? No. No way. Because as soon as he went down, the ball was effectively released from his hand. Now, if DJ was right there, and when I say by right there, I mean a yard away, less than a yard away, right there in territory, and that grab causing him to fall didn't cause him not to get to DJ, and DJ got the pass off, that's more blatant. That's more obvious. I get that. But especially when he's 7 to 8 yards away from the play, the ball released almost simultaneously, that is a really tough break. Because again, at the end of the day, did it affect the play? Was there an advantage gained to change the outcome of the play? That's what we look at a lot, okay? And I didn't think so. I didn't think it was warranted. But that's me, of course. The second thing, is the penalty for as far as what I've got, B, the penalty for offsetting unsportsmanlike with Gums and the linebacker from LSU. Here's what I
Yeah.
thought was
Yeah,
tough
it's a little
about that.
tough. A little
Here's
tough.
what I thought was tough about that. If Gums gives up, right? So let's say that you go to the sideline. They're both engaged. Bodies are tense, right? You're engaged. If Gums gives up, he's no longer engaged. So he's going to he's risking getting hurt because he's going to be run over.
Right.
Right. That's the issue I have there. If he quote unquote gives up, body goes limp or whatever, he disengages. Okay. He's on the sideline. And what if he gets tripped? What if this, whatever
Right.
happens? So he's got to stay
Right.
engaged to keep himself upright or to keep himself from getting hurt. That's why I thought that. Guess what? The unsportsmanlike only should have went to the side of LSU.
It's a good call.
End of the third quarter, B. That's when it was. Lagway, he's in trouble. He rotates. He turns. He couldn't get away. That face mask was clear as the big right paw coming across his helmet. It engaged, but then when the head goes down, you lose the hand on the face mask. You lose the hand on the helmet. It gets covered up. When he goes down, the hand is no longer on the face mask. But it was on the Florida Gator side. So therefore, the linesman should have had a clear view of it, but wasn't called. So that was that. The other one was another missed face mask on the cornerback Cooley in the end zone on that TD pass caught by Mizell. Now, again, it was a TD pass.
Yeah.
He caught it. It would have been declined or it would have been, enforced on the kickoff either way.
Right.
But again, there was one other one. I just couldn't go back and find it. So I don't want to cite it because I couldn't find it. I couldn't give you the quarter. But probably a few missed face masks in this game. Do me a favor. Go back and tell me about the horse collar because I missed that one.
So Jacoby was taken down from behind by linebacker, defensive lineman. I don't remember who the position was. It was jersey. It was not horse collar in terms of like I said, they didn't get inside the pads, but he was pulled down from behind, top of the jersey. So they got the top of the jersey and ripped him down from behind, brought him to the ground by his jersey. Right. So that was the manner in which he was tackled. They didn't let it go or anything else. Like he was brought down. The way he was tackled was one hand, top of the jersey at the back, brought him down to the ground. So my question, I guess, is if you didn't get inside the pads, is it still a horse collar? Because if it's not required to be inside the pads, then that was a horse collar that wasn't called, period. Like there's no debate. So that's my question. Do you have to be inside the pads?
And I'll tell you this, at the high school level, okay, whether you're grasping inside the pads, you're grabbing the jersey, it's anywhere on the nameplate area.
Yeah,
so,
it was. It was.
Shoulder pad, inside collar, nameplate area, and pulling the runner down. Now, it's one thing to say my hand was there and I released my hand. My hand was there. I'm the defender. My hand's there, but then I release it and the offensive player goes to the ground and my hands are nowhere close and we're good. But if I follow through with the tackle and my hand is still engaged in the nameplate, in the jersey, in the pad, as he goes down, that's a horse collar.
Yeah, I think it absolutely was then because that's absolutely the manner by which he was brought to the ground. I'm shocked they didn't call that one based on that. And I believe it's the same rule in college. So let me go back and ask you one more question then. When you reviewed that hold by Najee, you're saying that the grab didn't affect the play. I didn't see a grab, for the record, from my vantage point. When I watched back, especially today when we saw that angle from the back that I sent you, to me, what looked like happened was Najee got beat across the face, right? And he could have grabbed, but what I saw was a shove, right? I saw him get beat across the face, right? The guy got out beside him to go chase after Lagway. And what I saw happen was him shove the defender to the ground rather than a grab. That's what I saw on the replay. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you saw something different. But I guess my question is, if he shoves that lineman to the ground, that's not a hold, right?
A shove is not a hold because, again, just like what they teach them, 2 hands, palms out, fingers up, push.
And that's what I saw. Like I saw him get beat, but then even though he was next to him, not in front of him, right? And he was to the left, right? Because he got by him. He was to the left of him. But what I saw was Najee shove him rather than hold him. That's what I saw, and maybe you saw it differently than I did. But what I saw was him get beat, and as kind of a last ditch effort, him shove him. And that's why I thought it wasn't a hold to me, because I didn't see a grab. Maybe you saw it differently. I don't know.
So before Najee releases and the shove, he gets an SJP. There's a slight jersey pull as he is shoving him down. You see the engagement of his hands curled into the inside of his jersey. That's it.
Okay. See, and this is why Randy's perspective is helpful. Appreciate that. That's good to know. Sir. That makes me feel at least a little better about the call. I appreciate the perspective. We mentioned this last week on a couple holds that were called against USF, where I felt that they were, not affecting the play, and where, yes, by the letter of the law, they are holds, but if they don't affect the play, why are we flagging them, right? Because that happens all the time. So I agree with you on that piece of it, but it's good to know that you saw a little jersey tug there. So that's good to hear. All right, let's move on. Let's wrap this thing up. Talk about where we go from here. You start us off. Where do we go at 1-2, man? Same record as 2024. It's a disappointing start to the season, to say the least.
It's wild, man. But I mean, at the end of the day, Napier's below 500 again. Again. I'm not sure. It might be like the feline situation, a cat situation. I don't know how many lives he has. I really don't. And right now, do we have the dollars, the 20 point whatever, 4.5, 0.6 million to go ahead and finally cauterize the wound?
According to Andy Staples, yes, we do.
Word on the street is it's there. Now it's a matter of what do you do, right? Because I look at this a few ways, B. Look at what just happened with two schools who dismissed their coaches.
Yep.
We talk about redshirt status. We talk about eligibility. We talk about the portal, different things like that. So when's the best time to do it? Well, ideally after the bye week and after game 4, right? Or does that make sense? So Who knows? How do we look? What does this week of prep look like to come out against Miami? If we come out against Miami, balls to the wall, does that save it? Does that make any difference? I don't think so. Right? Does all of a sudden after the bye week we have a new offensive coordinator, and no disrespect to Ross Callaway, but not in name only, right? Do we actually have someone that steps up and says, hey, yes, guess what? This is going to be the OC. Is Napier going to relinquish the opportunity at this just to try something different? Is DJ going to screw his head on right and zone in and lock in? And are all the guys going to pull together? Is this locker room really going to play for each other, knowing what, again, big test number 1 down. Again, like I said, we didn't lose that. LSU did not win that game. We lost it. But look at the rest coming. Okay, it's not going to get any easier, period. The only thing I have to say is at least we still hold the all-time NCAA scoring streak now up to 464 consecutive games, right? Started back in 1988. And the only thing I can hope is the defense continues to play lights out and the offense goes, you know what, guys? This is a bunch of BS. Look at the defense out there. Hopefully they have some pride. Hopefully they have whatever it is, right? Mike's secret juice from Space Jam, whatever the case might be, to get up and really look at themselves in the mirror, Napier included, and figure out a way to make this work, because you can't have all of this talent. You can't have all of these weapons and not utilize them and basically stifle them. It is a crime. Is an absolute crime. So come with the same scheme against Miami as you had with LSU. Be ready for Beck to release the ball quickly. Be ready for a little bit of gimmick on his side. But outside of that, come ready. Spot the ball. I like it. Come ready to play.
I like spot the ball. I think that's going to be the motto. I love it.
I dig it, man. Great job. But
thank you. You gave me the inspiration, so I like it.
My pleasure. But we just got to come. We got to come out, end this Miami nonsense, punch him in the mouth, and take one in South Florida. Period.
I dig it. I dig it. I want it bad. I'm not going to lie. Despite everything else, this one game, it's probably the game I want most of all this season. Like we can go 2-10 if we get this one. I don't even care. Like I do care, but I really want this one. Well, I want Florida State too always, but 3-9. All right. So obviously a difficult game, as you mentioned, to see us have such a good opportunity and fumble it, right? Or intercept it, because we didn't fumble it, we threw picks, and not take advantage of it, right? But also, as I mentioned before, somehow very expected, right, in the overall outcome, right? Again, not the, as I mentioned Saturday night, not the way I thought it would happen, but the end result, yeah, kind of what I thought would happen, right? So. Right. I'm very encouraged by the defense, just very encouraged. So if we can see the offense just be competent, right? We kind of talked about this at some point along the way. I don't know if it was this offseason, honestly, or last offseason, but if the offense can just be competent, right? We did mention in the offseason that if the defense can be a top 30 unit, which they are currently, by the way, the offense doesn't even have to be, right? They can be marginal and we can be okay. But if the defense can be elite, which they're tracking close right now, if the defense can be elite and the offense can just be competent, which granted isn't that likely based on what we've seen right now, but if they can just be competent, we can absolutely win some games of significance on the schedule. Significance, not just the ones that you'd assume we'd win, some other ones too. But overall, it's not going to be the year we wanted or hoped for, clearly, right? That's evident now. We've seen enough to know that that's not likely or really borderline even possible at this point. And the thing I want to see is, will we see the team continue to find the motivation to play hard and the culture hold as the noise increases moving forward and potentially changes increase on the coaching staff, right? Because there is some change coming. I don't know when, but I think it's borderline inevitable at this point. I do not think Napier survives the season at this point, barring something borderline miraculous. If you somehow like win the next 3 games, then maybe, but I don't think that happens. But man, I'd love to see us win this week, as you mentioned. I really want this one. I hope the team wants this one as bad as I want this one. And let's talk about what it would take to do that. Let's get into keep it or pitch it here. Last week, I went a stellar 0-3. Couple great weeks for me. You went 1-2. Not much better for you, but that puts you at 5-4 on the season, and me at 3-6. My record's looking more and more like Napier's by the day. Stellar start to the year for me. Wow. Terrible. I'm usually pretty good at this. I have not been good this year, folks. Randy's kicking my butt, and good for you. So last week's picks were that UF is currently converting third down at 44% of the time going into this game, and the LSU was only allowing 23.1% conversion on third down. UF will make the most of their opportunities on Saturday and convert 35% of their third downs. We both pitched that. They converted 35.3, so we were almost right, but we both missed by a absolute hair, probably the closest we've ever missed something by, but we missed it. Both got that one wrong. So both LSU and Florida's defense have been stingy this season, allowing points to be scored on them, each holding opponents to under 10 points per game on average. So far this year, the Gators will continue to not allow frequent scoring opportunities and hold LSU to 24 points or less. They obviously did, both on the scoreboard and overall, because obviously, as we mentioned, only 13 was allowed by the defense. We both pitched that, and obviously we were, of course, again, wrong. So this is where the flip happened. Florida currently ranks 17th in the country in time of possession at 34-20 per game. The Gators will continue to perform well in this measurement and possess the ball for more than half of the game. So we gave them a 30-minute mark. I pitched it, Randy kept it, and thus the discrepancy in where we landed. So to that end, let's play a little keep it or pitch it for Miami. Miami is currently converting 50% on third down. Pretty good rate, as you might expect from an air raid offense, while the Gators are only allowing 26.2 conversion on third down. The Gators will win the war on third down on Saturday night in Miami and hold the Canes to under 38% conversion. Keep it or pitch it.
So I thought about this in a couple different ways. Carson Beck last year in Jacksonville, we held them to about 20% third down conversions through the half, right? And so I'm looking at that going, okay, what does that look like? This offense probably suits Carson Beck a little bit better, but at the same time, I think they know what to expect. They're just the defense, for all intents and purposes, especially at line, is playing possess right now. They've got a lot to prove. The locker room is going to be one back over. They're going to play for each other. I'm going to keep it, B. I'm going to keep it.
I'm with you, man. I got faith in this defense. If it's a defensive stat right now, I'm on it. I'm going to believe in the D. I think it's our best asset right now, obviously. I'm keeping it as well. So I'm right there with you.
All righty then.
All right. Next one up. Miami is currently allowing 2.56 yards per carry against the run. Pretty good. While Florida is averaging 4.29 yards per carry. Even better if Jaden Ball gets the rock, but we'll leave that alone. The Gators will continue to tote the rock effectively and carry at 3.5 yards per rush, sack yardage excluded from this stat. So we will calculate without sack yardage if there is any. Keep it or pitch it.
Oh yeah, especially after this game, we talked about the discrepancy in run versus pass. The run will be reestablished, starting with Ball. He will be a wrecking ball, and he will spot the ball. I will keep it, B. What about you?
I'm going to pitch this one. I think it's close, but I think we're a little under it.
You think Miami's too much up front?
Front seven for Miami is really good because they are. And I think they keep us underneath this. I think it's close. I think we're over 3 yards a carry, but I think we're probably just under this. I also think the fact that we don't give Ball enough carries through 3 games is part of the problem here. And we stay under this number because, unfortunately, I'm not seeing Jack Cheese produce the way I wanted him to. It's not what I wanted to see out of him. And I think I have to pitch this one because of that. Probably really mostly because of that more than anything else. So, all right, last one. In the past 2 games, UF has had 6 and 7 accepted offensive penalties flagged against them. The play will get cleaner on Saturday night's game in Miami, and we will reduce that number to 4 or less. So 4 or less accepted offensive penalties against Florida called and accepted on Saturday night. Keep it or pitch it.
So here's where you got me, B. Here's where you got me. If you said less than 4, I would have had one answer. But then you said 4 or less. That made me think about a different answer. Then I thought about what we did in Death Valley. Because the USF game doesn't count. That was at home. But Death Valley with all the noise with 102,400. I think that's going to be an area of focus of practice this week. So I think they clean it up, and I'm going to keep it.
I'm pitching it.
Oh.
I don't think it's as bad as the 6 or 7, but I think we hit 5.
You think 5?
And again, it's any offensive penalty. So, false start, delay a game counts on the offense, right? Any of those things count. So I'm going to keep it because I think 5 is probably your number. That would be my guesstimate. So even though it's close, I'm gonna go ahead and pitch that one. So all right. So we got a chance. I got a chance to get some ground back if I'm right. We'll see what happens. All right. So with that, we are wrap up Keep It or Pitch It, and I'll move on to the Sims here. So as I mentioned, I changed some stuff. So I did some research, and I was trying to figure out why the Sims were so inaccurate. So as I mentioned to you before, last year, super accurate at predicting the outcome of games, for Florida at least. All but one game, it correctly predicted the outcome based on what the Sim results were, which, not saying that should have happened again, but certainly in some of the outcomes that we've seen and how one-sided they were, 10-0 versus USF, 9-1 versus LSU, you would have thought we would have stood a better chance to win some of these games. Last year, we saw those kind of results. Not only did we win, but we won in dominant fashion. Obviously not what we're seeing so far this year. So I did some research, found out that there might have been some game settings that could be tweaked So I did that in terms of some like CPU ratings and some things of that nature. I won't get into all the details, but long story short, changed those settings, updated the rosters accordingly, as I always do, and came out with what I would consider to be some more accurate results. We went 5-5 against Miami away, which I would consider to be a lot more accurate. Now, is it because of those change in the settings? Maybe. Is it because the game is better evaluating Florida now that they've had some on-field performance that isn't quite as good as maybe the game thought we were going to be? Perhaps. I don't know. But 5-5 was the rating, so the game is calling it a true coin flip. Doesn't really know how we're going to fare, at least in a 10-game setting. Also, remarkably, many of the stats were so close. The margin of victory for both teams, 5.3 for us, 5.4 for them. Super close. Rushing yards were less than a yard apart for rushing yards for us versus rushing yards for them. Passing yards were within like 10 yards of one another for each team. Points per game overall, remarkably close. It was the most similar game from one side to the other that I've ever run in any sim that I had ever done, straight up.
Okay.
However, there was clearly a key stat, and I'm going to give it to you, and it was passing yards a game for Beck. If he got over his average of 212.8, Miami won. If he was under it, Miami lost.
What?
So if we can control the passing offense of Miami and keep them under their average, and it might not be 212 for the record, that might not be the number, but whatever Miami's currently averaging in passing yards, I would tell you, which I didn't look up, maybe I should have, but I'd say if we keep them under their average passing yards per game, I like our chances. If we don't, probably not good. So that's your key stat. So forgive me for not having looked that up prior to the pod. I'll look it up before next week and see if we came in under it or over it and see what the results were. So there you go. I think it's a pretty interesting indicator. It was universal in all 10 sims. Every time he was over it, we lost. Every time he was under it, we won. Period. No exceptions. Including one time where we were a -3 turnover. Yep. In other words, we gave up 3 more turnovers. I think it was 4-1, right? We had 4, they had 1. So -3 turnover margin. And we still won the game. So very interesting. Very interesting. So just a food for thought thing for you there for the game. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Apologies for not catching that stat before there. Looking at the real one, I just, relied on the sims for it. But again, we'll see what happens. Just something fun to look at. Again, we don't consider it to be the gospel or anything like that. It's just something fun to consider. And I will mention for the LSU game, had we not been a -4 turnover margin in that game, I'm pretty sure we would have won it. And based on that, that time of possession stat that we considered to be the key stat of the game would have proved out to be true. So even though it didn't prove out to be true, we didn't have any sims where we were -4 turnover margin to have a relevant comp for that. So with that, we'll wrap things up and sign off here. As always, if you like the content, whatever platform you're listening on, please give us a thumbs up or like it. If you want to hear more, please subscribe, and we really appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I'll turn it over to you to sign us off, Randy.
10-4, my man. Awesome. Great to get some of this stuff out. Thanks for the therapy. Much needed. Well needed.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget, folks, we've got Miami this Saturday on the 20th. We'll do our rapid reaction right after the game, about an hour after the game, somewhere of that nature. And then on Monday, the 22nd, we'll have our regular pod breakdown of UF versus Miami. So wherever you are and whenever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.